Hey everybody, welcome to Icewater Yoga. My name is Joe Pace. This is a very quick, straightforward hip stretch. So we're only going to take a few minutes here. If you're feeling like you're tight in the hips, you need to cool down, you need to warm up in the hip area, this will hopefully give you what you need. So we're just going to start in a hip opener, the first pose of the day. And again, we're going to be pretty quick here, not so many poses, in and out. So we'll start with the right foot in front, left knee underneath the left hip. All right, and we're going to come to stand in this position. All right, so you might already feel this in the front hip. Now, the hip flexor actually connects to our spine. And so because of that, when we tighten in this front hip flexor, it can cause actually a tension in a forward fold that puts compression in our spine, in our back. So we stretch this out to alleviate that. And we also use these muscles when we're running. It's a really high use muscle. So you can drop your hips gently forward in this position, hands directly on the hips if you'd like, keeping the hips even with one another. So don't let one sit bone drop below or rise above the other. Keep the sit bones and really the base of your butt even with on both sides. Okay, so from this place, you're just drawing your breath into your front left hip. So you're filling your lungs completely. And then exhaling completely. Feel how that affects this hip stretch. You're just breathing in it. You're pressing into your right foot firmly, and then you're almost like there's a scissoring action of sliding your front foot back and your left knee forward. So that action is really bringing a lot of the pose into this front left hip. Feel it engaged, hands again to the hips. If you'd like to intensify just in this moment, take the arms overhead. Maybe take a very gentle and slight back bend as you sink your hips gently forward. Okay, so you'll notice there's a little bit more intensity here. Keep the scissoring action going. Deepen your breath. Stay focused. Your gaze can be forward even though your arms are overhead. For 3, 2, 1. Gently release the hands to the mat and we'll switch sides really quickly. Or really briefly. Yeah. Not necessarily quickly. All right, so now it's the right knee underneath the right hip, left knee on top of or right above left ankle. Set yourself up, keep both the base of your butt even on both sides. We have the hands to the hips, all right? So we can sink the hips forward slightly, start to create that scissoring action. You can have your back toes tucked or untucked, and we're lifting up through the chest, leading with the hips. So the hips are in line with one another. You're breathing deeply. And playing with the idea of drawing the breath into the front hip. Direct the breath there. Stay lifted in the chest, stay breathing, and this scissoring action is so important. The feeling of your front foot sliding backwards without actually sliding, and your back knee sliding forward without actually sliding. Now your hip points, the frontal points of your hips lift, and you sink the hips forward. So you keep the hip points lifting as the hips sink maybe a little bit more forward. Feel the stretch come into the front hip. Maybe the arms come overhead. Feel the lengthening in both sides of the body. Let the hip release. 3, 2, 1. Gently, hands come back to the mat. We'll switch sides. This time, right foot in front, same exact position. This time, we'll take both hands to the inside of our right leg, okay? So if this doesn't feel comfortable for you, put your hands on something. That's always an option. Something sturdy, whether it's a couple blocks, if you have yoga blocks, or a couple, really anything that you have to put underneath your hands. From this place, you can lift your back knee off the floor. And now we're really just trying to explore the right hip here. So you'll feel a little bit of a stretch in the front of the left hip, but noticing the deep right hip turn on here, feel the stretch in there, okay? There's always options. We'll take the left knee to the mat if you'd like, okay? That's gonna be a bigger stretch. Okay, because there's more extension and flexion in our hips. So from here, keep the elbows extending, lift up through the chest, breathe into your right hip. Okay, your right foot is forward. You're drawing your breath deep into your right hip. All right, and your pose may not look like mine. Your hands may be on something. Okay, your back knee may be closer to your body. Find a place where this feels productive in your right hip. If this doesn't feel like enough of a stretch for you, you can take your forearms to the mat. Always an option. Keep your right knee directly over your right ankle. Breathe into your right hip. Coming back out, hands to the inside edge of the foot. If you came down onto the forearms, we'll draw the left knee back in, switching sides, left foot forward, same setup. Right knee right under right hip, hands to the inside of the left foot, and the hands are right underneath your hands are right underneath the shoulders. Okay, so you can draw your right knee back, you can lift the knee. Okay, this is going to be a little bit easier on the left hip. If you want a deeper hip stretch, drop the knee, untuck the toes, lifting up through the chest no matter where you are. Stay tall in the chest, hip points lifting. Feel as if you could slide your hips forward and keep the back foot planted where it is. So the action of drawing the hips forward will give you more space in the left hip to maybe sink a little deeper. Maybe coming to the forearms if you're feeling like a deeper stretch is going to be necessary here, may not be necessary. Making sure you're staying breathing deep through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Okay, hands to the inside edge of the foot. Unravel, back knee comes forward, left knee back. Let's roll onto our backs. Last hip stretch. So we've worked from the front. Now we were deep in the hip. Now let's get the piriformis back hip. We'll take the right ankle, the outside edge of the right ankle, it's on top of the left knee, flexing your right toes towards your right knee. So you're flexing the toes back, and then from this place, you have plenty of options. Okay, you can reach your right hand in between your legs, grabbing your left hamstring if that feels like an option, making sure you're never feeling any pain in your right knee. Do not reach forward or bring your knees closer to your body if it means your right knee is going to feel pain, okay? Stay here. Draw your right knee away from you. Feel the opening in the outside hip, okay? The other option is to bring the hand to the hamstring or the shin, either way. What you want to continue doing is keep your right toes flexing towards your right knee and then your right knee drawing away from you as you gently pull your left leg in towards your body, but really in line with however much you're able to press away with your right knee. So your right knee drawing away from you, so down towards the bottom of your mat, and your left knee drawing up towards your chest. Stay lifting in your chest, keep both shoulders rooted into the mat. Keep your sit bones, the base of your spine, not your sit bones, the base of your spine rooted into the mat. So not letting the hips curl up like this. Press the sacrum down, stay light for 2. 1, release the sole of the left foot to the mat, right foot to the mat, and we switch sides. Left ankle on top of right knee, same principles. We stay here, left knee drawing away from us. Just feel the outside hip opening if you feel like this is okay, especially in the left knee. If it's accessible, reach hands between the gap in your legs, grab the right hamstring, grab the right shin. Keeping the left knee drawing away, keeping the hands firm, and the left toes flexing towards the left knee. Now, I immediately feel a difference in both sides. My left hip is just not as open as my right hip. It's just how it is for me. So whatever option you took on the first side may not be appropriate for the second side. Just stay here, let this pose do its job. And so once we create the pose, and we find a place where our knee is safe and we feel a productive stretch in the outside of the left hip, our only job is just to breathe into the left hip. We don't have to adjust. We don't have to fidget. We just stay right where we are, keeping shoulders rooted into the mat, keeping the base of the spine pressing into the mat, filling the lungs with air, and then exhaling completely. Last few breaths here. Gently release the sole of the right foot to the mat. Sole of left foot to the mat. Bring the feet out as wide as your mat, or even if you don't have a mat, just wide. Let the knees knock in towards one another. From here, take the knees to the right. Windshield wiper them over to the left. Just like that, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. Hug your knees into your chest. From here, an option will be to grab the insides of your legs. So grab your shins, pull in. You can just gently pulling your knees towards your shoulders. You can also grab the inside edges of your feet. This is called happy baby pose. Soles of feet towards the ceiling, knees towards the ground, okay? And taking those preparatory steps on your way here, this may not feel accessible for you right now. You may feel bunched up and tight by doing this, as opposed to reaching for the soles of the feet. Reach for the inside edges of your calves and then pull your knees in towards your armpits. We want to keep the shoulder blades pressing against the mat and the base of the spine firm against the mat. Nice adductor stretch, the inseam of the leg, which is also part of our hips. So now we're drawing, if we do have the full pose, drawing the knees up towards us as we sit down the base of the spine, pulling gently down into the soles of the feet for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wherever you are, gently release. Rock it up to sitting. Okay, that's a quick hip stretch. We did some really good stuff, as 360 as we can get in the short amount of time. So thank you for practicing with me. Hopefully your hips are feeling a little bit more open. Hopefully you were able to deepen your breath throughout this practice. Thank you for your time and your attention. Namaste.